Alright, the last video on using an oil-based poly to treat the cast iron on the table saw sparked a ton of comments. But first let me say that the oil-based poly was a fail, and I'll explain why in a minute. I got a lot of useful comments from folks recommending products to help with corrosion protection, and I've highlighted some of the suggestions for you to see. I'd be willing to bet that all of these products work and will offer some level of rust protection. I guess the real variable is how often I would need to treat the cast iron to make sure rust doesn't start to creep in. But many folks are just convinced that paste wax is all you need. But I live in the ridiculously humid South, and I have a shop that is not climate controlled. That means that things are going to rust. Paste wax alone just doesn't cut it. And that part of the argument is just not debatable. I don't want to spend my valuable shop time doing tool maintenance any more than is absolutely necessary. And for me, paste wax as a rust prevention would need to be a weekly thing. So that's why I tried the oil-based poly. You may remember just how pretty the top of my table saw was when I finished it. And it was slick as glass after a coat of paste wax. The idea was to protect the table from moisture with the poly and use the wax to make it slick. The problem was it just wasn't durable. I had a project where I used several jigs on the saw, and the wear was clearly evident. In fact, once the poly wore through, you could flake it off with your fingernail. So this was a fail. But rather than do even more experimentation, I decided to go with what I knew would do the job. So I sanded the cast iron again to get rid of all the oil-based poly. After I cleaned off all the dust, I applied a coat of water-based poly with a rag, just like I would a coat of paste wax. Once that dried, I gave it a light sand with 320 grit paper and applied a second coat the same way. Then I applied a slightly thicker coat using a foam brush, another light sanding to get rid of the dust nibs, then a good coat of paste wax. Now it's not as pretty as the oil-based poly, but I think this will be a more durable way to go. But I'll keep an eye on it, and I'll let you know if things don't hold up the way I think they should. Keep the comments coming, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. And there you go.